One of them's in this very area. Before it continues.
Have you got any food? You think so? Like, why not? Like, come back and see me if you find any more food, okay?
I can once again talk about the thing with these Scooby-Doo games.
Hello, sir. I'm Fred Jones, and this is Daphne Blake from Mystery Inc.
Because I made a comment on this when we played
Pleased to meet you.
Night of 100 Frights. These Scooby-Doo games. This is a GameCube game,
Yeah,
so it came.
They came out in the What's New Scooby-Doo era, but like none of the games from this era, except for I think like one of them, uses the art style of that show.
Now, when I learned the one thing with Night of 100 Frights, it started as a PS1 game,
Yeah.
and you can make an argument, even moving to the PS2 and GameCube, that they just reused a lot of their bullshit.
Because the like sort of basic setup of that game was still the same on some level. That seems to be why certain assets in that game look kind of bad.
Somebody explain this?
If I like.
All of this will ruin the New Year's celebration. We will be forced to cancel the banquet.
Oh, banquet.
Aw.
If I had to make a guess, it's
You found a clue. Show it to Velma so she can analyze.
All right.
if I had to make a guess, it is one of those. The answer is
Great. You found a
probably
clue.
either the suits mandated that it was based off the '60s show,
Interesting.
or it's one of those things of, you know, is that the developers being like adults and shit. It was basically the developers actively
There you go.
chose for it to be the '60s. Like
You can
a-
play the one level now.
You know.
But my point, it's just. God damn it, I can't talk. As an adult,
Also, this is good game design than having a trail of Scooby snacks
Yes.
spawn.
as an adult, it's just a weird thing I noticed where they did these licensed Scooby-Doo games, but none of them feature the What's New Scooby-Doo designs, and are way more akin to classic, old Scooby-Doo versus What's New Scooby-Doo. Night of 100 Fright started on the PS1. I will kind of let that one go.
This game was like 2005.
Yeah.
I also don't remember how long watching Scooby-Doo lasted, so it would be funny if that specific version had ended, even though long after that version had ended, they kept using those character designs for the, like, straight-to-video movies and shit, so if we're going to count that as part of the canon, which I believe some of those later movies acted like some of those later movies, I think, acted like the show happened, that, like, that version of the characters technically went on for, I think, like, 10 years.
They kept using those designs until they changed. My point is, this was an era where you revive Scooby-Doo, but you don't...
Like I said, I think there was only, like, one game that used...
What's New Scooby-Doo was the current design at the time. And you didn't do anything with that except, like, one game.
Because of the whole, like, you know, it, like, this being made by the people that I think it was Dead by Daylight. They're
I'm
like,
pretty sure it was.
go on tank. It's one of those, you know, I believe some people from, like, that company are active on Twitter. I wonder if anyone who still works at that company, if they remember working on this game, would actually, like, be willing to answer a few questions about it, or if it's one of those Warner Brothers NDA is still in effect. I can't say shit. Because it wouldn't surprise me if this game had a fucking 15-year, like, NDA.
Gotta whip out that GameCube version.
Yeah.
Playing on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Playing on a Wii.
Yeah.
It's a backwards compatible Wii, goddammit. just using extra memory cards just to have some extra saves for Let's Play. My point is, like, the What's New Scooby-Doo thing just sticks out in my mind because we recorded as kind of a, like, yeah, fuck, I can't talk. We did Scooby-Doo, like, Night of 100 Frights around October, and I was like, we have this, so I was like, fuck it, we could do this, but we're recording this a little bit before Halloween.
So that it will go up on Halloween.
No, so that I can probably start changing the schedule and have this go up on October more coherently.
Yeah.
Because trying to get the other Scooby-Doo when you wanted it was kind of weird, because I also did Fatal Frame. And that literally extended until like a month ago.
Hey,
Gotta defeat the machine, man.
you know, the enemy generator. But again, we're not actually killing things.
There we go.
Because again, we can't have Scooby actually killing people.
I love fun mandates like that.
Well, I would assume something like that's a mandate.
Whoa!
To my knowledge, no developers ever confirmed something like that. It just feels like that would be the case, because like we brought up in Night of 100 Frights, all the enemies in that game are holograms, so that's why I assume it would be a like corporate mandate, because Night of 100 Frights was made by a different developer.
There was some stuff all over the ground too. There was the food, and over to the side was a headband behind like one of the other containers. What was it? Yeah.
You are going to need a lot of mother.
I saw a headband.
I know, but
I
have to kill all the enemies first. Because
I know.
some of these rat holes, if you kill enough of the enemies, when they stop spawning, the rats like clog it up with rocks. So that's why I was.
Saw a headband on the ground. Behind one of them.
Finding all of the secrets.
There it is! There's the headband. Now I'm thinking about Hong Kong Fooey.
They don't talk about Hong Kong.
But he's the #1 super guy. Hong Kong Fooey. Faster than the human eye.
Isn't that also Hanna-Barbera?
Yes. And then that one guy who's singing the theme song starts, basically doing, scatting, but he's scatting in, like, racial chunks.
Well, that's a...
Jing, 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 jing.
Well, that's a kind of, like, funny, sort of awkward thing about that. It's one of those, well, Hong Kong Fooey is probably super racist to, like, Chinese people or something. The guy that I believe, got to play Hong Kong Fooey was actually a black guy, so it's like... This is, I think, one of the first, like, black roles in animation, or something like that. Or one of the first times, like, Hanna-Barbera used a black voice actor or something like that. So there's actually...
You should... Damn it. It was a Chinese-themed area, and that just makes me think of Hong Kong Fooey. #1 super guy. I was talking about classic Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the, like, the monster in this area actually is a...
Monsters. The, the guy with the mask is the, like, one of the main villains from that Chinese-themed classic episode, but the bigger enemy, the one goon-looking guy, was also heavily featured in that one episode.
Of course.
Because, again, it goes back to what I was talking about.
because after the first stage, the later levels get very long. If I miss anything in the level, I'll go back for it later.
Yeah.
Might, in between recordings, try to look at a guide for things.
Anything we miss, we can backtrack for.
No. Though if I do mostly try to walk around the levels and not immediately, the platform shouldn't miss a lot, but as I made a joke earlier, it's one of those you never know if it's like, why is the children's game surprisingly difficult?
All of it surprisingly difficult.
Yeah. Because that was always just, you know, a thing that happened a lot, is you would have the game be mostly, like, relatively easy, and then it's like, oh no, now the game decides to be an asshole. But I guess in the 90s, that was mostly influenced by, like, the rental market and shit, where it was probably something very similar to the, like, again, checking to see if they would fall at any point, if it...
You're just back at the beginning.
Okay. So, what I was gonna say was, it wouldn't surprise me if in the 90s and shit, if a bunch of that was, you know, rental market bullshit of, like, how the reason that the Lion King game gets bullshit at the second stage, that was literally a mandate by the suits of the game must be difficult this certain way in, because this is the...
we go on and on about the rental market.
Yes, because it did massively fuck over, because I feel it did massively fuck over the games industry in America for the 90s, and I still stand by to this very day, it gave old men a warped perception of difficulty.
If we're talking about that again, the extra short version is, in Japan, renting video games was monitored, where Japan had basically declared, like, all video games are no different than computer software, and in order to rent computer software in Japan and stuff, you could rent it if the people that made it said it was okay to do so. Otherwise, the people trying to rent out the software would be heavily fined and could face serious repercussions and jail time and stuff. But in America,
Oh, like a tomato game, but whatever.
close.
Damn it. Yeah, I'll go back. Because how long shit it'll go back.
We did that out of 100 frights anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's also another funny thing of in some ways you have to go back, so...
One tough cookie.
Hi, guys.
Anyway, for the fucking rental market bullshit, because we've explained this before, but like I have to go on this rant. Japan heavily fined rentals unless the people behind the software was okay with it.
Look, a manhole. It looks like Zentua went into the sewer. Something about this.
But
mystery
in
is-
America,
Keep a lookout, guys.
the thing is,
Fred and Daphne.
companies tried to get video games and stuff under software protection, but in America, it was basically looked at as too
This
proprietary,
must be some sort of machinery. Some monstrous red and magic device, maybe.
where the thing...
The cover is shaped like a lizard scale. Maybe it's from that dragon.
Okay,
Oh, hi,
Damn it.
Scooby.
trying to explain that again. So,
Shaggy fell in the sewers?
dang it.
Then he is lost. The sewers are Zentuo's domain.
Damn. Also because Shaggy's going, you actually can't do the health extension thing right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of dumb.
Controls the great
You know, it's at least early in the game, but still.
Anyway,
You should leave.
with
Do you know where
the rental market in Japan, rentals were heavily fined unless the people behind the game allowed it. In America, game companies tried to get the same protection. And when they tried to get the same protection, they basically decided that video games were too proprietary. And the argument against Nintendo, especially in the 80s, was your cartridges are proprietary and do not deserve the software protection of like floppy disks and stuff, because it's like an average consumer can buy a floppy disk and illegally copy a game, but it was like an average consumer cannot buy your cartridges and illegally copy those.
Shrimps.
So the idea was that in America, rentals for video games were seen as fine, and controlling software and stuff, it was seen as like, oh, you don't get the same protections because there's no... Oh, hold on. Fuck yeah! Hell yes!
And then you have, like, if you mass B, you have a combo. You got, is it just jump and B? Okay, if you jump and B, now we're moving! Look at this!
Scooby has a drop kick.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. Though I'm going to wait until I need to do the big thing. I'm gonna wait until I need to do the fun thing to actually do the fun thing. Also, because the costume's made of rubber, it...
Yeah.
The UV lights or get rid of the rubber, so...
Yeah. Anyway, in America, video games were never given the same protection as computer software. So game companies in America decided to make video games in this country harder.
Yeah.
And this created a skewed identity in America when it came to video games and difficulty, because Americans that grew up in like the 80s and stuff just had this back in my day it is what it is kind of thing. But meanwhile in Japan, because rentals were basically heavily fined unless a game company...
They were heavily regulated.
Yes. It's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So anyway, do any of you also find it interesting that basically almost every Scooby-Doo game that was released during this era ended up using the classic Scooby-Doo designs and not the redesigns from What's New Scooby-Doo? I just find this incredibly interesting, especially because What's New Scooby-Doo was the newest show at the time, and basically all of the movies going forward for years would basically use the What's New Scooby-Doo designs as a base, and yet the video games used the classic designs. I guess at the time, maybe Warner Brothers had a lot more reference material and model sheets for the original Scooby-Doo stuff, and I'm including every classic thing that existed before What's New Scooby-Doo. And I know Night of 100 Frights started as a PS1 game, so that game using the classic designs makes sense. But Scooby-Doo Unmasked was released in 2005, and What's New Scooby-Doo started in 2003. To be fair, this game could have started development before What's New Scooby-Doo was completely finalized, and if that was the case, then Warner Brothers likely did not have any finalized model sheets or character designs. However, if they wanted this game to link to What's New Scooby-Doo, then they could have easily given the development team reference materials that reference the beta designs. This has happened several times before. If you ever see any merchandise for The Simpsons where Bart has a blue shirt, that merchandise is based on his beta design. It's why his shirt is blue in the Simpsons arcade game. They had the game get made before other designs were finalized. So the reference material that was used was beta material. So we could have easily given them beta material if it existed. And while that would have been kind of funny, that would have been kind of cool, but I guess they used reference material from the classic era because that would be slightly more recognizable, and that makes enough sense. If you're unsure about your design changes for your new show, you might as well use old reference material that is already heavily established, because that gives you a lot more to work with. But the reason I find this funny is because in this era of Scooby-Doo, they changed the designs. It's like how in the Jimmy Neutron show, Cindy changed her design, but every Jimmy Neutron video game, no matter when it was released, always used the movie design for Cindy and not the TV show design. So it seems like they constantly gave out the old reference material and older model sheets, which I find hilarious, but I'm getting off topic. Warner Brothers likely did the same thing, they just used older reference material. Or maybe they had yet to finalize the reference material for What's New Scooby-Doo, but unless somebody comes forward and openly talks about this random era of Scooby-Doo, we can never know for sure. But anyway, you can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments. Or you can leave them on social media. All of my social media links, as well as my Discord links, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, and if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.